Every once in a while, the internet likes to grab hold of certain individuals and obsess over their uniqueness. Whether that be from natural singing talents, makeup abilities, abilities to bring others together, or any other sort of trait, the internet goes through phases of loving people. But how did the internet fail a child so badly that their story ended with a hoax involving Harvard School of Sociology and a complete disappearance online? What about when that child was given a platform to explore their own sexuality and gender, but were just met with criticism? What does that say about how we treat minors, or more importantly, individuals? This is the story of TimmyThick. Of TimmyThick. Welcome to my essay. As important as it is to talk about the fallout of the situation and the knowledge that we can take away about social media from it, I think it's crucial that you guys understand this situation in its entirety. If you're my teacher, hi, this is for a project, everyone, and you just need to see my analysis, you can skip ahead. But I really hope you don't, because I truly think that this is one of the most interesting stories that the internet has never told. It's kind of weird to have to say this, but spoiler alert, TimmyThick was not a Harvard experiment and did not magically turn black. When I explained this essay topic to a bunch of my college-educated friends, that was their assumption of the end story. No. As with any story that happens with a celebrity, there's actually two sides of the story. The one that the public saw, and the one that happened behind the scenes. For the sake of understanding this crazy, crazy story, I'm going to discuss first what happened in the public eye, and then what happened privately. I know too much about this. I just do. I don't know why I got obsessed, and I have no excuse not to, and I'm so happy I have this essay to finally talk about it. The year is 2016. Everyone's playing Pokemon Go. Stranger Things is being binged. Rihanna is still releasing music. It's a different world. Important for us, Instagram meme culture is reaching new heights, with thousands of new meme accounts being created and followed every single day. We're seeing spikes in cringe and reactionary content posted. Originality is completely out the window. It creates the perfect platform for any sort of piece of controversial media to spread like wildfire. Somewhere in New Jersey, a 14-year-old boy is living a fairly average life. He goes to school, goes out with friends, and takes and posts photos onto his personal Instagram. He's a little bit of a baddie, but nothing too rambunctious. Overall, he's not even doing anything insane or trying to seek any sort of large attention. But the fact of the matter is he caught the attention of just a few individuals who'd go on to spread his images into these Instagram meme communities. Why would they do this, and why would this work? It's tough for me to say, but there's no way to not deny it. The boy was thick. It's important to recognize that this is also peak internet being obsessed with butts now. I don't know what more to say because he's just a teenage boy, but undeniably he is thick. And the thing is, he knows it, and he shows it off. He shows it off as a rap video girl, but it's all juxtaposed with a normal teenage boy face and a normal teenage boy clothes, wardrobe, and everything. Right now I'm going to insert the image that I originally remember being the first one that was spread around. This could be false. There could have been more before it, but this one was definitely the biggest one. It was used with funny captions or kind of just as a reaction pic. He had no following at the time and no one knew who this kid was, but everyone can agree, this picture's amazing. I, as well as many, were obsessed. Something about this normal boy wearing normal clothes and having this bad girl energy was just exhilarating to watch. Later in the year, after a few more photos of his did their rounds around different communities, he finally popped up online. He went by either the name TimmyThick or Timmy the Barbie. We finally had a name to associate with him, and when a few more photos were posted that were never seen before, it was easy to tell that it was his real account. We could finally create a legitimate following around this boy that we have been obsessed with since we've seen the first picture of him. And, not disappointed at all. Truly not. TimmyThick had one of the most insane social media presences of all time, only rivaled by people like Jovan, Azalea Banks, and 6ix9ine. It's now 2017, and Timmy had spent half of the year posting more and more provocative photos and adopting a more wild way of talking online. Timmy was known as a barb, a fan of Nicki Minaj and was a sort of ride or die for her. Timmy would roast haters and just had a very fun presence online. The first half of 2017, I would say, was the golden age of being a TimmyThick fan online. Similar to meme Instagrams in 2016, 2017 saw the rise of a new kind of YouTuber. These YouTubers made reaction videos and commentary and were notably toxic themselves with even more toxic fandoms. That's how it is. I was a fan, I'm allowed to say that. This includes people like Leafy, iDubbbz, Pyrosunical, and Rice Gum. The thing is, for every one of these popular commentary videos, there is at least 50 clones of them that would spread almost identical videos every single week. On July 15, 2017, Rice Gum uploaded a video titled, "This girl / boy must be stopped!" Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. In this video that garnished over 9 million views, Rice Gum criticized and commends TimmyThick's Instagram in a weirdly attracted to and disgusted in sort of way. Honestly, the video wasn't that mean, but it was calling out a minor's Instagram to millions, saying things like, "I don't want to see that," while also complimenting his figure and ability to wear a jumpsuit. It's like, yeah, slay. But that's millions of people who might go leave hate on his Instagram. Honestly, Timmy did take it and the hundreds of other videos Thou made about him like a champ and really capitalize on the momentum. From there on, Timmy just tweeted more and more outlandish things. He posted drug use, even more provocative photos, and had a few N-word scandals. Just influencer things, baby. He began to experiment with things like wigs and even more women's clothing and makeup. He was at a point where everything he did now, even if it was warranted or not, was now criticized. In my opinion, he got way too wild way too fast, and people began to fall off with their obsession with him just because it was impossible for him to keep on one-upping himself. Also, it should be noted that as easy as his come-up was on social media, it seemed like he wasn't too good at it. Oftentimes he had days of silence, and there were many reports of him just not following through with brand deals with small businesses. That doesn't even mention the fact that his accounts were constantly being suspended and deactivated due to violating the terms of service. He was a minor posting pretty bad stuff. That meant that following TimmyThick, while he wanted to be around, was sort of a wild goose chase. In March of 2018, his entire account went black, and on the 17th of that month, the infamous Harvard tweet was sent. The tweet read, "Good evening. TimmyThick was a 24-month sociological study conducted by Harvard University. We are now completed with our study. Thank you for your time." Well, this was far from the truth. Let's remember that I am right now just telling the public perceptions of TimmyThick. After a few days of this tweet, the hype died down, and many left the situation believing this was the truth. There were plenty of fake accounts that came up that pretended to be TimmyThick, and even a kid who really does look like Timmy, but black, claiming that he was Timmy and he turned black now. That was one of the best trolls of all time. That was so good. Shout out to that kid. All of those really just turned out to be fake, and it was very obvious after a few days of posting. And for many, that's the entire story of TimmyThick. Now let's go back to the beginning and piece together what actually happened. Obviously, because I wasn't there, this might not be 100% accurate, and every detail of the story hasn't been told online yet. I hope that in uploading this, something happens. I really do. Everything I'm about to tell you is from secondhand experience. A lot of this comes from random Q&A videos, live streams, and a now deleted podcast. This is the behind the scenes of TimmyThick. So now we're back in 2016, and Justin Lugo's photos have just begun to spread. His name isn't Timmy. He hasn't had any personal success with the matter, but he wasn't trying to. And only a few people at this point knew where to source the images from to make the meme. Somewhere out there, Justin's images, though, strike a chord with an individual, and he's the first to really recognize that Justin can be a star. There's not a lot of information about this individual. We know that he's a black gay male in the US, and claimed to run a few successful Twitter and Instagram accounts where it was all just meme work and nothing really original. In the podcast interview, he said he was uncomfortable sharing his real name and his real identity, and he opted to be called Harvard Intellectual. I don't want to say that a million times, so I'm going to be calling him HI for the rest of this. I mean, I feel silly that I wrote this in and I need to say it, but it should be noted that at present there is no evidence that he has ever been enrolled in Harvard or has any association or affiliation with Harvard University. HI was able to track down Justin and sort of propose a deal of sort of management or partnership with him. I became Justin's social media manager, and they would work together as a team to create content as well as grow all of his social media platforms. In general, for Justin, this wasn't a bad deal at all. He had virtually nothing to lose in the situation. He wasn't really passionate about social media, and HI seemed extremely credible due to the numbers on Instagram and Twitter he was getting. HI was also able to show Justin that there was money to be made online, and that if you knew how to, you could get sponsorships at almost any follower count. I really don't think either of them could predict that this would result in the biggest drama of their life. An important thing that you need to know about HI is that he has stated that he's around Justin's age. Although it's true that their youth allowed both Justin and HI to have an extremely good understanding of social media and the inner workings of that, neither of them had a great understanding of business deals. At the time of their agreement, they didn't discuss almost anything pertaining to business. They set the bare minimum in writing, like a profit would be shared and that they were both serious about growing the account, but that's basically it. It was unclear how a profit would be shared, exact obligations to the accounts, and who actually had ownership. Justin's personal accounts have since been deleted, but it's assumed that they used these new accounts so that Justin's classmates and families wouldn't see the new accounts. This kind of happened because Justin was pretty open about his dad being homophobic and didn't really want that in his life, you know? The part of the story that they both really can't keep straight, though, is who came up with the name. I think it's really funny that this is the one thing they really seem to argue about. They used the name Timmy because for the same reasons as them not using Justin's original accounts, just because they needed a new name for this new persona. But both of them really cling on to the fact that they came up with the name TimmyThick. But needless to say, the TimmyThick accounts saw immediate success. The Timmy face, and more so the body, was recognizable to a large group of people online. And then when Justin was able to post new, never-before-seen photos of himself, it was pretty clear that this wasn't a fake account and we had someone to follow. The next 2 years of success were really rocky for the partnership. Justin wouldn't post consistently just from a lack of care. Things like sponsorships and post quotas just weren't being met. Justin's behavior began to affect the business side of their relationship in really detrimental ways. HI would also go on the TimmyThick accounts and tweet out really controversial things just to drum up attention. They would continuously delete each other's tweets like one after the other. Something you need to know about Justin is that he's said that he is 100% Cuban. This meant that whenever Justin was tweeting the N-word or saying it on Instagram Lives or anywhere else, HI was very uncomfortable. TimmyThick did this thing where it brought out a more confident, flamboyant, and rambunctious side of Justin. It was sort of like a catalyst for Justin discovering who he really was meant to be. Yeah, you're meant to be TimmyThick. Imagine telling your parents that. HI even fondly recalled when Justin first started wearing nails and wigs around the house and being really proud of him for having the confidence to do that around his family. But Justin ended up actually seeing more backlash for this than he did for saying the N-word. The Rice Gum video caused a lot of his toxic fans to go over to Timmy's page and leave a lot of hate. This includes slurs towards gays, trans women, and just general death threats. Justin found himself as a most hated type of person and really began to play into that. As time went on, Justin became more wild. He constantly posted photos of him and videos and boomerangs of him smoking weed. There were sightings of him at parties all around New Jersey. It's hard to say if this is the route he would have taken if the feedback to him and his gender expression was positive. Also, a side note, my favorite story of Justin at parties comes from this Call of Duty storytime voiceover where this really straight guy really needs to let you know that, one, he saw TimmyThick at a party twerking, and two, he really didn't want to see it twerking. He didn't want to see it so bad that he had to make a video on it to let everyone know. I love it. I just love it so much. Eventually, Justin's behavior got in the way because he was a little batty. He didn't have time to sit down and film anything. He couldn't review lashes or wigs anymore. So many sponsorships got lost just because Justin did not want to take the time to make them. This is what eventually led to the downfall. HI was over it. He was done. He was ready to wipe his hands of the situation. But that was a lot of his own work. He claims that all of the tweets that went viral were his doing and that the account was mostly his. He wasn't about to just relinquish control. So, HI locked Justin out of the accounts. There was no real game plan and no real end goal, but HI is smart and HI knows the internet and HI knew how to cause a fit. Within a week, he blacked out the accounts, meaning that all the pictures became black, there was no bios or anything like that, but he left the accounts up. Just long enough for all of us to notice that it happened. Eventually, all of this led to the infamous Harvard tweet. Well, how do we know this is true? About a week or so after, HI went onto a podcast called Yeah But Still and confirmed it all. This podcast has since now been deleted, but it was a sort of tell-all of their relationship and the fallout that happened. It was meant to expose Justin, but in my opinion, did a bad job of that, and all it did was just show how rocky the partnership really was. I reached out to the podcast for comment on the whole situation, and they wouldn't, even though I'm a student. So, beef. Justin did eventually confirm that this interview and HI was legitimate, and this is what happened. He ended up talking about it on his own new personal social media accounts. And Justin was invited to go onto the podcast and tell his side of the story completely, and he decided he didn't want to because you're not going to get Justin to sit down for an hour. We knew that. Today, Justin can still be found online. He goes by the name Envy Juju or Juju Belair. Juju coming from Justin. I think it's cute. And if you think he deserves it, I believe his current PayPal is still paypal.me/TimmyThick. And if you want to PayPal me, my PayPal is paypal.me/GabeAY. That's GABEAY. Am I allowed to put that in a school project? HI's presence online is currently unknown, but due to the way he talked about social media and his own relationship with it, I can only imagine he's out there somewhere, blending into the crowd, without everyone knowing that he was half of TimmyThick. I think the story is actually really sad. In it, we can see two young queer folk who became friends, shared experiences of being ostracized, and were able to find solace online. We also see Justin, who is famous because of his uniqueness, yet it's that same uniqueness that is also what brought him the most criticism. The whole TimmyThick experience creates a new sort of queer analysis, one that takes place online, in the most earnest forms of media that we've had to date, social media. This reaffirms a lot of what we think about how the public interacts with queer content. Siobhan B. Somerville, what a fun last name! Queer calls into question the stability of any categories of identity based on sexual orientation. That's exactly what TimmyThick was able to accomplish. To understand how we view queer people in media, we have to understand why the ones that are popular are popular. Timmy, or Justin, is in no way more gay than someone like Anderson Cooper. But it seems like he is. The same way, Timmy isn't thicker than any other twerking girl online, but they're not getting the same clicks as he is. TimmyThick exclusively made his mark because he's a man doing things that we deemed were for women sexually. As unimportant as it and this whole situation seems, TimmyThick helps to redefine society. That's so serious for TimmyThick for this. As much backlash as there was also acceptance, and most YouTubers making videos about Timmy at the peak of everything happening commented on how it didn't turn them on. Yet in the comment section, we had thousands of people policing Justin's gender and questioning his understanding of self-knowledge and backlash. It was genuinely divided, and it felt like a transition period for the internet in accepting queer bodies. I think that TimmyThick had a hand in changing internet media culture very directly. I don't think TimmyThick is ever going to be included in a textbook on gender in the humanities, but I think he should. That's a quote. That is a quote. Timmy genuinely changed the game for a lot of gay men online. Timmy's out there personality and outrageous postings paved the way for many of the twerking videos on TikTok today. I see you all, you little twinks. You got nothing to shake. No, I'm kidding. I'm not potty shaming. I'm not. TimmyThick helped redefine many norms that we held online about gender, sexuality, and self-identity. And to that, I salute. And to Justin and Harvard intellectual, I think, for creating one of the most fun eras of internet that I have ever been able to live through. Solemnly, thank you. Thank you everyone for watching this. This was my first time making a video like this, and I wanted to for a while, and I finally had a school project that helped me find my passions, I think. I don't know. I think this was fun. This part isn't for you, Professor. I'm sorry, but there's many topics like this that I know a lot about. So if anyone would like to see any more, let me know. And if you don't let me know, man. Or say it calmly, nicely. Twitter, Twitch, everything's in the bio. I'm going to start streaming soon. I'm going to do it. Oh my god. Yep, this is submitted for grade. Ooh. Bye. I wore a shirt for a school I'm not associated with because TimmyThick wasn't associated with Harvard. Thoughts, baby. Many thoughts in my head.